Colorado. Seth Lugo, the right-hander, will go for New York. It's the second time Chad has seen the Mets this year at Citi Field. He threw a gem, just 94 pitches in traversing 7 innings, did not allow a run, 6 hits. He worked very quickly as the Rockies were in the process of sweeping the Mets in New York. Our game is next. Come on back to Coors Field with us. Made reality with the birth of the Colorado Rockies into Major League Baseball. The first glimpse of the new franchise would be shared by more than 80,000 people bursting the seams of Mile High Stadium. Their enthusiasm became delirium when Eric Young hit the shot heard round the Rockies.
It is Mile High and out of here.
In 1995, the team moved into a lower downtown palace, punctuated by record attendance and a playoff appearance in just their 3rd season. Ravenous fans adorned in purple celebrated a group of power-hitting muscle men who became known as the Blake Street Bombers. Larry Walker was a card-carrying member of the group, whose excellence in every aspect of the game was rewarded with the 1997 National League MVP. He would share the baseball spotlight for years with another rare talent in Todd Helton, who ultimately became the face of the franchise. Todd drives one high and deep right field. Get up and get out. Helton has done it. The Rockies win it. In 2007, the Rockies made a late season run that was epic in scope and swept their way to the World Series. The last few years have seen a new cast led by a third baseman without peer and a bearded center fielder who brought a return to Rocktober. It has been a remarkable baseball story, still in its relative infancy. Tonight, we celebrate the Rockies' first quarter century of hardball. A little more than 25 years ago, the Rockies went on the air for the first time with a Western motif, naturally, on KWGN. Behind the microphone, the incomparable Charlie Jones and Dwayne Kuiper. And they got to describe the action that first ball game in New York against the Mets at Shea Stadium. Doc Gooden, who was awfully good back then, had the last laugh as the Rockies would fall 3-0. But some stars were born in purple pinstripes in those early years. Dante Bichette, the Big Cat, the aforementioned Larry Walker. And then they gave way to today's stars. Nolan Arenado, who's putting together a Hall of Fame resume, along with Charlie Blackmon. And Cargo's now been a Rocky for more than a decade. Special Times. It's hard to believe it has covered more than 25 years. And now tonight, the Rockies will take on the New York Mets. And I tell you, while we were watching what our great crew did with the video and editing that together, I had a ton of goosebumps.
Goosebump moment right there. I mean, that was just a wonderful piece, excellently narrated by yourself, but that just brought back a flood of memories.
It really did, and it's funny because, you know, we'll take you behind the curtain for a moment. You know, we voiced that yesterday, and then when you put pictures to it, and we have so many talented people behind the scenes, and pictures we haven't seen in a long time, it truly was, you know, it just gives you great pride to have been a small part of what has taken place over 25 years here. And for the fans, I remember back, and it's like the gotcha moment. I remember back when they questioned whether this region would be able to support Major League Baseball.
Exactly.
Right. And
There's enough interest. Can they sustain it?
Forget the 80,000 for a moment. Today, where attendance is down in Major League Baseball about 6%. I think some of it has to do with the awful weather nationwide in the first 4 to 6 weeks of the season. You know who's up? The Colorado Rockies. They're 7th again in all of baseball. The fans here have been just sensational from day one, and they continue to pour out. Rain or shine, snow flurries or not. First pitch from Chad Bettis missed, and the second pitch just inside on a kid that whose family watched the early days of the Rockies, Brandon Nimmo, growing up in Cheyenne.
Yeah, he'd make the trek down from Cheyenne wearing his Rocky pinstripes.
Well, that's unlike Chad. He's missed on the first 3 deliveries. He's a guy that typically pounds the strike zone. So here's the 3-0 to Nimmo, and that's on the outside corner for a strike. 3-1. Nimmo, as you know, has had a huge series. He had the 2-homer ball game 2 nights ago. 4-hit game also. And this one is fouled off past Ruben Amaro Jr. So it's out full.
He's kind of made himself with the regular playing time. You know, that feared guy at the top of the lineup now.
And the cutter, did he go? Yes, indeed. Nice job by Chad to come all the way back and get the strikeout of Nimmo to begin things.
Well, he fell behind 3-0, but the 3 pitches really didn't miss by a whole lot, and then he comes back with the tighty slider on the Subaru Supermo, and Brandon Nimmo could not hold up. Well, Chad's looking for his first Coors Field victory. The 5 wins have all come out on the road with this 2.70 ERA. Looking to change that up. Fastball, changeup, slider, and the curveball. And the fastball, the one has been getting hit a little bit more frequently, or a little bit harder as well, off the right-handed bats.
Well, his pitch is the changeup. He has one of the best changeups in baseball, and he'll throw it behind in the count. He'll throw it to get up in the count, and obviously he'll throw it to produce a strikeout.
Yeah, 214 batting average against on the changeup for Chad. You know, slider's not bad, 265, curveball 262, fastball at 288.
1-2 on is Drupal Cabrera. That's in tight, 2-2.
What we've noticed more with Chad Bettis has been that he's been far more aggressive in the strike zone. And what was a good example was Brandon Nimmo, that first at bat, pitching around the strike zone.
This is kind of poked down the left field line, and it's fair, and it bounces out of play. It'll be a ground rule double. Well, that to me is a good pitch, bad result. Yeah, Cabrera kind of reaching for it. He's able to keep it fair. Here's the Southwest batting order for the Mets. It'll be Michael Conforto in the 3 spot. Todd Frazier batting 220. Frazier dangerous though. He can hit the long ball. Dominic Smith, the former first-round pick. Wilmer Flores owns a home run in the series. Devin Mesoraco as well. Jose Reyes is getting the start for Med Rosario, and Seth Lugo is pitching and batting ninth. So the pitcher will not bat eighth tonight. And a first pitch strike to Conforto.
That is unfortunate, that double that Asdrubal Cabrera hit. He's got a 5-game hit streak now, but that was just a little poke job to left field that happened to fall 6 inches fair.
93 on that fastball, just outside, 1-1. Let's look at that pitch he made to Cabrera. It's a changeup.
Changeup, but that's a good pitch. He had to really go down and take the top half, lean over to hit it to left field.
1-1, and this is pulled to right for a base hit, and that will get Cabrera home. And another first inning run allowed. Rockies have allowed 62 first inning runs. And in baseball, that is the third most runs allowed in the first inning. They're allowing a slugging percentage of .566, which is second highest allowed in the first inning.
That's 17 first inning runs for Chad.
Here's the Rockies defensively. Gerardo Parra is back in there. He's been swinging the bat well. He's played great defense all season long. And Tom Murphy's behind the plate. Only notable changes from last night. Frazier swings and misses. Well, Chad had a strange outing, fellas, down in Texas. He gave up a couple of 2-run home runs in the first, 5 runs in the first, with a ton of friends and family looking on. Come in from West Texas, and after that first inning, he really did a terrific job working into the 6th inning and shut Texas down the rest of the way. The Rockies came back with 6, you may recall, in the top of the 2nd, and went on to beat the Rangers that night.
Yeah, the innings 3 through 5 for Chad, they were 3 up and 3 down. He didn't have command of anything in that first inning. That was part of the problem for Chad. But then after that, he commanded some off-speed pitches, the changeups, the sliders. Ended up working 5 2/3, had 8 ground ball outs, 6 strikeouts.
And this ball's lined to right center field. Cargo's going to be able to cut it off. And Dominic Smith will be held to a single as Michael Conforto goes first to third.
We saw Dominic Smith last night. He went 0 for 4. And this time he rips his single in Subaru Supermo. Cargo did a nice job of getting over and cutting that off and keeping Conforto from scoring.
Three hits in the inning. And now the first baseman, Wilmer Flores. Curveball's low, ball 1. The Mets have swung the bat very well in this series, which they have not done the last month, and really haven't done a whole lot of it this year. And of course, this lineup is missing 2 of their mainstays in the middle. Yoenis Cespedes is one of the top offensive players in the game.
Yeah.
And Jay Bruce, who has a distinguished offensive resume.
And both veteran guys too that can handle the bat. They'll take their walks, but they just extend the lineup.
3-0 on Flores. Mets are hitting just 186 in June.
Just 229 overall on the year.
Yeah, I mean 186. I mean, it is June 20th. That's a strike. The worst month they've ever had as a team was July of 1972. They hit 188. It's the only time they've hit below 200 in a month. 3-1 on Flores, and he pulled that fastball. Now the bases are loaded. And you have Devin Mesoraco with plenty of power coming up. Buddy will send Steve Foster out. And at some point, Buddy has to be going, all right, can we have a well-pitched game? Because I know these guys are plenty capable of it. I've seen a lot of well-pitched games earlier in the year.
And then not a high stress or high amount of stress pitches in the first inning, especially. You know, you'd like to see that
That 1, 2, 3, and
8 or 9 pitches.
Right, and all the fellas are back in the dugout and ready to go. So Mesoraco with 7 home runs, 16 driven in. The former Red takes a strike. Mesoraco was an all-star with the Reds back in 2014. He had 25 home runs that year. Drove in 80. And that's a strike going 2. And now Mesoraco showing his displeasure with Lance Barrett.
Yeah, but it was a strike on the Subaru strike zone. I mean, he goes 4-seamer with a little run inside. Tom Murphy holds it. Now make one final pitch.
Oh, 2, and that is lined to the corner in left, and it's going to go to the wall. 2 runs are scored. Wilmer Flores gets a stop sign on the double by Mesoraco on an 0-2 pitch, and it's 3-0 New York here in the first.
$15 RBIs for Mesoraco in a Mets uniform. Tried to go back inside one too many times on the Subaru Supermo. And this time Mesoraco was waiting for it. 5th double of the season for Devin.
Jose Reyes at the plate.
This is part of the first inning struggles for Chad in that the changeup just isn't there for him. The secondary pitches we've seen him struggle. So it's basically a fastball pitcher in the first inning.
Well, I mean, I get that, Spilly, but I'm sure Chad after the ball game will say that 0-2 pitch is way too good. He got ahead of Mesoraco, and then he allowed a pitch to wander over the inner third of the plate. It's far too hittable for the count.
I agree, but back to the point that you just saw, a spiked slider is for oftentimes when you see a starting pitcher in the first inning, they're trying to get the feel for the changeup. The changeup's a pretty tough pitch to have a good feel for in the strike zone. Then you had the slider, that wasn't working so far. The curveball hasn't been there. So the pitch that you feel most comfortable with is commanding a fastball.
And now the Rockies will go ahead and walk Reyes and pitch to Seth Lugo. You got to be careful with Lugo. Lugo, you may recall, last year hit a home run against Chris Russin.
Career 257.
He's a big, strong athlete. He's 6'4", about 225, 230. Four hits, 2 walks, and a strike on Lugo.
Let me correct something. A career 148 hitter. Looking at some other numbers.
Two and one. Rockies pitchers behind Germán Marquez lead the major leagues in hits with their staff. They have 20. The Mets are not far behind. They have 17. The Phillies pitching staff has 20 also. Not that it matters. You have to work your way out of it. And we've been saying that, you know, each night. You hear that coming from the clubhouse each day. But I've never seen anything like this. That should be strike 3. It is. So the Mets hit around in the first. They scored 3 runs. And it'll be catch-up time for the Rockies when we come back. By the 2018 Toyota Tundra in your hometown Toyota stores. And by Southwest Airlines, low fares, no hidden fees. That's transparency. Well, the Rockies down 3-0 after the top of the first. They'll try to do like they did in Texas. Put up a big number in their half of the inning. The Rockies got 2 yesterday in the first inning. Here's the Southwest batting order for Buddy Black. It is LeMahieu, Blackman, Arenado, Gonzalez, Story, Parra, Desmond. Hitting .429 over the last 5 games. Tom Murphy and Chad Bettis. We told you the bad news that the Rockies have given up one shy of the most runs in the first inning in baseball. But the converse is that the Rockies have scored 63 first inning runs. That is the most in baseball. And their slugging percentage in the first inning of .585 is the highest in baseball. You look at Seth Lugo, who has spent most of this year working out of the pen.
Yeah, he entered the rotation at the end of May. So this is just his 4th start, 25th game. Typical 4-pitch mix, but the curveball is the pitch for Seth. The .194 batting average against, using it almost 31%, actually 30.5% of the time.
He's got a terrific curveball, not only in the movement of it, but he lands it for a strike more frequently than any other pitcher who has a curveball in baseball.
Well, it's a big spin rate too. Over 3,000 RPMs on the curveball.
That sounds fast.
Doesn't it? Anytime you say 3,000 RPMs, it's really fast.
I was talking to Corey Sullivan before the game. We were looking at the analytics packet that we get. Huey can look at the same one, and he said, there's often times that curveball pitchers at Coors Field, they'll shy away from their curveball just because it doesn't break as much, and I sometimes find that a little bit overstated.
DJ hits it in the air to right. Nimmo has a routine play. Go ahead, Spilly.
But if he does go to another secondary pitch, which is not his curveball, the slider's his best secondary pitch, and hitters are hitting over 400 against it. So let's hope he doesn't land the curveball tonight.
1 out. Charlie Blackman will step forward. A look at the Mets defense. Jose Reyes, who really briefly was with the Rockies after the Tulowitzki trade to Toronto. He does not get a lot of run these days. Hitting in the 160s. Smith, Conforto, and Nimmo in the outfield. Frazier, Cabrera, Flores, same infield at those spots as the last couple of nights. First pitch is in there. Strike 1 to Charlie. 3 innings of good relief by Lugo in New York against the Rockies. The Rockies would win that ball game 8-7, but he allowed no runs on just 1 hit.
And 1 walk, 3 strikeouts in the game.
Charlie 2 for 4 lifetime matching up with Lugo, native of Shreveport, Louisiana.
Centenary College is where he was drafted out of.
Centenary College is a Division III school now. They played at a higher level when he was there, and that school's down in New Orleans.
34th round.
It's amazing,
right?
And it came down to a pre-draft workout.
And he went fastball at 96. Something about his fastball this year. It's a couple of miles an hour harder than it was a year ago. 2 outs, and that'll bring up Nolan.
For the Win, brought to you by Pizza Ranch. How about Blake Street Bombers 2.0? The amount of runs the Rockies are scoring in June, tied for third most in the major leagues. In 3 out of the last 5 ball games, they've scored 9 or more. Take it out a little bit further, they've scored 7 or more runs in 4 out of the last 7. So, gonna have to put some more on the board tonight.
Nolan pops this foul out of play. Well, the Rockies went back to back to back last night. The last time it happened, 2010 in May. Seth Smith kept that one fair. And then Cargo out front a little bit, but he kept his fair. And then Spilly got a fastball up and hit a line drive.
He pulled that.
About 4 rows deep.
It's a line drive.
It's beautiful.
I still remember some of the highlights from that was Seth Smith hit the second homer. And I remember his face after I hit mine, because I swung first pitch off Dan Heron, and you know, he's getting his high fives, and then all of a sudden I hit mine. He's like, don't get to enjoy it.
Stole his thunder.
Yeah, took his thunder. Take that, Seth Smith.
Tell you what, he had a pretty swing. Still has a pretty swing. Your swing was good too, Spilly, all right?
It wasn't awful. It wasn't great.
Breaking ball hammered to deep left. Take a good look. You won't see this one for long. Make it 3-1. Home run number 15 for Arenado.
His 9th here in Coors Field, his 22nd RBI in Coors.
I'll give you your curveball. That'll take it about 430 to left.
Thank you very much for hanging this on the Subaru Supermo. Oh, yes. Nothing better than a hanging curveball.
Becomes a piñata sitting up there.
This means free baseball for somebody out in left field. Instead of candy, they get a baseball.
Cargo drops this ball to deep right. Nimmo on the move will make the catch. So the Rockies gave up 3 in the first. They get a run back on the home run by Arenado. It's Nolan's 7th first inning home run this year. The most in the big leagues. baseball all week long. That was the first big league hit for the Rockies. It was the Big Cat, first home run, Dante Bichette at Shea Stadium. And back live, we have, well, we'll show you in a moment. We have a base hit by Brandon Nimmo through the right side.
He couldn't wait for us to get through our highlights.
No, that's what he gets, swinging at first pitch. He rolls one past the diving Ian Desmond.
So Dwight Gooden threw that first ball game. The Mets would shut out the Rockies 3-0. You know who was at that first ever Colorado Rockies game?
Is he in the booth with us tonight?
He's in the booth with us. The ubiquitous Doug Marino. And Dougie has the ticket stub still, don't you? Doug was a wee lad then. He was his park ranger days. He had just come back from the Badlands. Parents didn't let him sleep in the house for a week until he showered. You know that story, right?
Yeah, I love it.
Yeah. True story,
It's smart.
right? Yeah.
Did they make you leave your Ranger shoes outside too?
They just hosed, they just hosed him down. Yeah. He took off for Shea. We're going to play a soundbite later on from our friend Dwayne Kuiper, who for years now has done the Giant games with Mike Krukow. But Kuiper was in the booth, as we talked about, on day one with the late Charlie Jones. And you see Shea Stadium that day, and Dougie wasn't exactly bursting with people that opening day. Shea, was decent crowd. It was decent because I was looking out in the bleachers and there wasn't anybody in the bleachers. And then those guys came home and they had no idea what to expect.
No. Well, nobody had. I mean, watching a baseball game, you're thinking 40,000. I mean, that's kind of the
that's a great that's a nice opening day crowd, right?
Yeah. Not 80.
2 balls, 2 strikes on Cabrera. Bounces up there, 3-2.
They had 4.48 million fans that year.
Yeah.
Actually, I don't know why no one was in the bleachers, because there was 53,000 at Shea Stadium that day for the Mets opener.
Are they counting the Rats? They're counting the old Shea Stadium Rats.
May have been. Runner going, and this is rolled to first. Cabrera retired. Nimmo to second with 1 out, and that'll bring up Conforto. Well, do you remember who led the club in certain categories? Charlie Hayes played more games than anybody, the Rockies' third baseman. Big Cat hit 370. I think a lot of people remember that. Dante scored 93 runs. Charlie Hayes actually led the team in home runs. And Hayes and Galarraga tied for the team lead in ribbies with 98. Armando Reynoso had 12 wins. And our old friend Darren Holmes, who we see every day, had 25 saves. The lefty, Bruce Ruffin, out of the pen. Well, he was starting in a little bit also, so it was 125 strikeouts. That led the club that year.
Fun to look back on some of those numbers and, more importantly, the names. We kind of helped set this franchise in motion.
Got in motion quickly because in year 3, the Rockies were in the postseason against Atlanta. Strike on the inside corner from Bettis on Conforto. Conforto an RBI single in the first inning. 9 for his last 25 at the plate.
So I remember in 1993 there was a place called the Mad Hatter in Santa Barbara, and it was just after the '93 season started, and so I had my choice between the Marlins hat and the Rockies hat, and I was like, I'm not digging the teal, but the black and purple. So it was one of the first hats I've ever bought, was a Colorado Rockies hat.
I didn't know that. That's a good story. 2-2. I'm always amazed that you see Rockies fans everywhere, but remember to what Spilly went through walking around New York. And there were a ton of Rockies hats in the 90s. And you're like, it's still a pretty young franchise to have all these, but people like the color scheme. Down the left field line, Parra is not going to be able to leap into the stands. We're flashing back with our crew as well to 1993, and this is the most appropriate picture because not much has changed. This really looks a little older. He's got a beard now. He couldn't grow a beard in '93, but he's got his stick in his tongue out. That's what we get every day.
Every day. Same thing.
Yeah.
It's good to be a kid.
It is good to be a kid. This is pulled the other way foul. See what Huey looked like circa '93. You were with the Rangers then.
Handsome.
Yeah.
It's like a young Tom Cruise. You look exactly like him, but different.
Different. You know, for us, every time I see one of those pictures when Huey was in his prime, he reminds me of Cody Houston. You guys look exactly alike. I mean, you should. He's your kid. But honestly, that is Cody.
Get that quite a bit too. Yeah.
Oh, it's really eerie.
Yeah, I think it's
a lot of kids look like their parents. Yeah. Cody's a handsome kid.
Come on. Let's look at Drew.
Oh,
hey, but beautiful.
That was last year, and they took a photo from last year, and they're stamping the '93 on it.
You still have that. You still have that jacket, don't you?
Of course I do. I don't throw anything out. My wife calls me a pack rat. Yeah, I have that jacket somewhere. It's the Mock T days, right?
Mock. Yeah. Mock was big back then.
I was trying to be Joe Cool in that picture.
I like the hair too.
Yeah, that's one thing I have not saved, Spilly. I don't have any of the hair brushes or combs from circa 1993.
It's okay. It's all right.
No longer necessary. 1-0 on Todd Frazier, and it's 1-1.
Billy, how old were you in '93?
13 years old.
Okay.
14 years old. I had to call family members to try to get some pictures, and when I was asking my sister to do it, I was like, can you please take some pictures? She was like, from what year? I was like, 93. I was like, it was 25 years ago. She's like, no, it's not.
This is going to get through the middle, and another run's going to score as Nimmo comes home, and it's 4-1.
Frazier hasn't had much success against the Rockies in his career. That's just the 25th hit in over 120 at bats on the Subaru Supermo, but the pitch was up. So he's able to get it knocked and roll it right back up the middle. That's got the run back that the Rockies had off the bat of Nolan in the bottom of the first.
And that'll bring up Dominic Smith. You know, we're so used to talking about guys that have produced big numbers against the Rockies at Coors Field. Frazier, before that single, was hitting 127 in 15 career games at Coors Field. This is going to be a tough chance spot for Story, and he makes it. Boy, that was well done. Steals a hit from Smith in the inning. There was a leadoff single by Nimmo, and he would eventually come around on the Frazier single. It's 4-1, middle of 2, the Mets leading.
Drew was talking about how Dougie had been at that 1993 game, Rockies versus Mets. It was the first ever game for this Rockies organization, but he's not the only guy at this stadium who was in attendance that day.
1993, I guess I was 8. I was huge into baseball. I remember I had a Rockies hat, even in New York, which was super weird and ironic now. And I actually went to the first ever Rockies game, which was at Shea Stadium against the Mets. Went with my grandfather. So have a weird connection in that way.
So he's not the only guy, so it's Dougie, Ottavino, and there's someone else who's in attendance today that was at that game, but you're going to have to wait until later in the game to find out who that was.
Oh, I like a good tease. That's awesome.
I got to thanks, Taylor. Now you have me thinking. Well, Darren Holmes.
Holmesy. No, you just ruined it for him.
That's okay. Pretend like he didn't say it. It's all good.
Was it? I mean, do we know that's the right answer? I know Darren was there. Maybe it's somebody else. Frazier, high throw. And that bounces into the seats. That's just, he threw the Frisbee, man. He came underneath, and that thing sailed. So Story will be at second on the 2-base error.
Once you backpedal, you better be able to get your feet in the right position, but Todd doesn't. Watch how he kind of throws, and his feet are pointing towards second base, so that causes your arm to drop down. I think he was thinking about the speed of Trevor. Just watch where the left foot goes on the Subaru Supermo. His shoulders don't get turned. His feet are going towards second base. The shoulders open up. He's trying to throw arm, and that's why it sailed on him.
You know what would have been interesting? Had he thrown that accurately,
Would he have been safe?
whether he would have been safe, it was going to be really close.
I never played infield at the major league level, but how often do you actually see the runner getting down the line, especially on a ball like that? Do you see it in your peripheral vision?
Sometimes you do, and when you do, that's when you hurry your throw, though. So if you can take and eliminate those guys in your peripheral, you'll make the throw and not worry about it. But if you happen to peek at somebody, that's when you start to rush, because in your mind you're saying, uh-oh, he's a lot closer to first than what I thought.
2-0 on Parra, who's having a big month of June. He's hitting .377. Highest batting average so far in the month of June, Paul Goldschmidt. Rockies got to see that, unfortunately, up close. Goldschmidt had been in a season-long slump. Emerged from it a few days before arriving at Coors Field. Trevor Story's having a big month of June also. He's at second. He's batting .357 this month. 3-0 on Gerardo with Ian Desmond on deck. Well, right now, this feels like it's one of those, we've seen this frequently lately. It's going to be an outscore-em night. He's going to have to do more damage offensively than the opposition does.
Giving up a lot of runs at home in the last 8 or 9 ball games.
Well, the Rockies got this information today from Elias. They've allowed 8 or more runs in each of their last 8 home games. It's the longest streak since 1900. There's a base hit, and the Rockies will get a run back. Here comes Story. Parra continues his torrid stretch.
It seems like a lot of the hits, too, for Gerardo are going in that same area. You know, whether it's left center, but last night we saw the one to right center. Or 2 nights ago, excuse me, that did the same thing. Just taking the pitch, it's away from him a little bit, but keeping the hands inside the baseball. And Trevor, who reached on the Todd Frazier error, comes around to score.
Here's another hot hitter in Ian Desmond. So anyhow, since 1900, this is the first time it's ever happened where a team in 8 straight games has given up at least 8 runs in a game. It happened one other time in Major League history, and that was in 1894. The St. Louis Browns allowed 8 or more in 8 straight. actually, it happened 2 other times also. The 1889 Kansas City Cowboys.
I don't remember
Good
that.
team. Yeah, great team.
Yeah, were they?
And the 1894 Washington Senators. .3-0 on Desmond. As Billy mentioned in the open, I thought it was a great cachet of statistics that Ryan threw up there, and one of them, his walk rate has almost tripled since the first month of the season.
Over 10%. Well, early in the season, 3.3, 3.2%.
Desi's got a 3-0 count right now. Here's a strike. So you know Dougie is a baseball historian, and he's particularly fond of the first turn of the century. We've had 2 now in the baseball business, but the first one, when it went from the 1800s to the 1900s. In 1894, that was the first year that they moved the mound actually to its current distance of 60 feet 6 inches.
What
That's
was
such
it
an
before?
arbitrary number, right?
It was 50 feet before. It does sound like an arbitrary number. Why not just say 60 feet?
Yeah.
61 feet.
Here's the deal. They probably walked out there and said, yeah, that looks about, that looks like it'll be a fair distance. And they put the marker there, and years later when they measured it, I'm making this whole thing up right now, I have no idea.
Doug will find it for you, don't worry.
3-2 on Desmond. A run in, par at first. See if he's moving here.
I think he will be.
He is, and ball 4. So now the Rockies will get the go-ahead run to the plate. Tom Murphy here in the second. Buckle in. This one could be interesting tonight.
That's all right. The offense has been exploding in the month of June. It's kind of what you come to expect, at least in the summer months here.
Well, until the pitching straightens itself out, you know, the hitters got to take it upon themselves. Say, okay, you know what? The pitchers picked us up the first 6 weeks of the season. We got to pick them up.
That's right. And that's what being teammates is all about.
Outside, ball 1 on Murph. Folks, when the Rockies score 7 runs or more, go to participating Colorado Taco Bell locations the next day between 4 and 6 and get your Rockies taco special at Mazda Taco Bell. Rockies had 10 last night. Hope you took advantage of that this afternoon. On the corner.
That's
barely
on the corner of the Subaru strike zone. I know it hadn't been given a couple times to Chad.
Seth Lugo picked up velocity. We talked about it from this year in comparison to last year. And I think one of the reasons he pitched in the WBC for Puerto Rico last year. He did exceptionally well. Puerto Rico did exceptionally well. And he throws it by Murphy. 1 out. That'll bring up Chad Bettis. But you all may recall that he came out of that with a slight tear of his UCL.
Yeah, so his
ligament.
elbow ligament.
Yeah, the Tommy John ligament.
Yeah, so there was some trepidation when he went to throw again even after he came back. A year and a half removed, it's gonna feel better, and there he is throwing hard.
Not only did he surprise some people pitching for Puerto Rico, he's 1/4 Puerto Rican, having the injury, but when they had the fan or the players weekend, his nickname on the back, which players are allowed to have their own nickname, it was Puerto Rican.
I do remember when that came out. That's a pass
That's a
ball. That was a
cross-up.
cross-up. That literally hit Devin Mesoraco. And now Stu Cole is going to come down and visit with Bettis because his intent was on moving the runners up 90 feet.
Well,
That cross-up did it.
Yeah. 99.9% of the time, it's on the pitcher. Because the catcher knows what he called. The Mesoraco thinking, I'm going to get something else, and it skips off the edge of his glove. The Subaru Supermo. And then when Seth Lugo was coming down, he kind of patted his chest like, my bad.
You know what's great about catchers cross-ups? It's such a good example to people at home trying to figure out how hard it is to hit. Because if a catcher with the equipment gets crossed up and he's expecting something else, he can't even catch a baseball.
Excellent point. That's a great point.
And you don't know what's coming, and you're supposed to hit it.
That's right.
This is going to get a run home. Nice job by Bettis. Chad gets the ball in play, and the Rockies are within a run. Second RBI this year for Bettis.
Hey, get it in play. Good things happen. And he also moved Desi up to third. And just one out. Or excuse me, 2 outs.
Here's DJ trying to tie it up. DJ hit a high fly to fairly deep right field his first time. And DJ hits this in the air, left center field. This will tie up the ball game. A 3-run second inning. LeMahieu's 24th RBI.
What'd you say a moment ago, partner? Buckle up.
Buckle up.
DJ was the only regular in the starting lineup yesterday to not record a hit. He was 0 for 4. You knew that wasn't going to last long. They tried to come back inside. He pulls the hands in, takes it to left center field for his 24th RBI. His ball game is 4-4.
I'm glad you brought that up because I was about to say before he hit that baseball, the fact that he did not have a hit last night, which means he'll probably have at least 3 tonight because that's how he rolls. That shot we got there was a great one. It looked like 4 guys trying to get on the subway all at once. I mean, you had DJ, you had Wilmer Flores. They're supposed to be on the field. You have Adam Amari. He's supposed to be out there. He's umpiring. Tony Diaz was giving instructions to DJ, and all 4 were crowded in the snap. Like they're trying to take one big selfie.
They're all
Spilling, can you get in that shot? You're not that far away.
I could probably try to jump in there.
That beautiful tie of yours. Inside. A ball and a strike on Charlie Blackmon.
Special thanks to Steve Kavnar, who allowed me to use this tie for tonight. It is horrible. It is an eyesore, and I love it. There's a calculator, an old Motorola phone on it. Can you see it? This thing is amazing.
It looks like
this is the 90s encapsulated on a tie.
Looks like a Leroy Neiman painting.
I think what's amazing is Steve Kavnar still had that tie.
Yeah,
to be able to give it to you.
It's like a depiction of Wall Street. There's calculators.
Steve wore that last week.
What's the chance that Jenny actually bought this for him on Christmas or like Father's Day?
This was a Father's Day. That was a Father's Day gift.
For sure.
That was an oops. I'm on the way to Mom and Dad's. I forgot to get Dad something.
It's a Wall Street tie. It's cool. This is like
I hope her phone blows up.
Gordon Gekko.
Same period of time. 2-2, 4-4 game. And Charlie loses the battle with Seth Lugo. So the Rockies take advantage of an error by Frazier. They scored 3 times. We're all even going to the 3rd.
standing right at home plate, the exact location of where home plate was when the stadium was used for baseball. So it started off as home to the Denver Bears, later the Zephyrs, but when you think about baseball at Mile High Stadium, of course you remember the Rockies in their initial 2 seasons and that first ever Major League Baseball game played in Denver. It was April 9th, 1993. Eric Young gets up to bat, hits a home run in front of 80,227 fans, and it would be a day that would set the trend for the rest of this season.
Yeah, an amazing moment. Witnessed by 80,000 plus. The claim, kind of like the shot heard around the world in '51. There were 247,000 people now stake claim to
be there.
having been there. This is a soft liner at the 6'4" second baseman. DJ LeMahieu, 1 out. I'll bring up Devin Mesoraco. He hurt the Rockies and Chad Bettis in that first inning on an 0-2 pitch, but the Rockies already down 1-0, bases loaded. He hit an 0-2 double and one hop the wall in left field.
So Chad starts him off with a first pitch curveball.
Going back to '93, do you guys remember what the other cities were before they decided Denver and Florida? Like, I don't. Who were the other potential cities?
I have to think back. It's been a while. Was Charlotte, Portland in there? Huey? Doug's going to do a little research.
I thought maybe you guys would know it off the top of your head. Sorry.
Back then, you have to go back to the late '80s, early '90s, and I do remember Bill White on the record, because he was the president of the National League. Curveball strikes out Mesoraco. Bill White on the record being skeptical as to whether this region would be able to support night in and night out baseball. And the irony, of course, is every attendance record in baseball is owned by the Rockies.
And the other irony of it, he thought that Florida was going to be the area that just boomed with baseball. And
there were certain criteria. You had to, within a couple of years, play in a baseball-only stadium, because they were getting away from the retrofit ballparks where it was football in the fall and baseball in the spring and summer. And they had to feel like there was going to be a fan base. There were several other criteria. The Rockies nailed them all. They thought the Marlins would nail it, and it took them forever to get a ballpark. It'll be Nolan, Carlos, and Trevor Story. 3, 4, and 5 for the Rocks fans. Join in on the conversation tonight. Send us your statements, your pictures from 1993. Use Twitter, include the hashtag Toyota Talk. Nolan got a hanging curveball his first time up and hit a home run. Takes a pitch away and pokes it to right for a leadoff single here in the third. 2 for 2 tonight. Somebody wants to see pictures of, we saw Jenny from 93. There's Jenny. We have a picture, Corey, from 93.
Number 23.
Game face on.
Gamer. Gamer. Yeah.
And there is Taylor with Mom Lori in 93.
And you're old, Drew.
Why was that?
Put it back on just for her.
Just for her. One more time. One more time.
Look at Corey. He's got a little smirk on his
He's game
mug.
face again.
Yeah, just leave it on the screen for a bit.
You can hear her laughing from here. She's a level below us.
That's fantastic.
That is classic. He's so embarrassed.
3-0 on Cargo. Cargo hit a rocket his first time up to deep right. Line shot that Nimmo was in the neighborhood. If he wasn't going to make the catch. 3-0 on Cargo. And he was in swing mode, you could tell.
Yeah.
And Lugo didn't want any part of him.
Too.
Yeah, he didn't want any part of Cargo. And now there's 2 on, nobody out. Here comes Mr. Story.
Trevor. That bouncing ball to Todd Frazier to lead off the second inning that was thrown away, and part of the 3 runs that the Rockies scored. It won't affect Lugo's ERA because all 3 runs were unearned, but the Rockies will take advantage of the mistake.
You heard somebody right behind home plate. Trevor time, baby. Outside, and Lugo will get a visit from Devin Mesoraco. Look at this group. Players with at least 15 home runs and 40 RBIs in the National League this year. There are 15 such guys in the American League. In the National League, this group includes Bryce Harper, Ozzie Albies, Freddie Freeman, who's having an MVP type year, and 2 Rockies, Trevor Story and Ian Desmond. Now raise your hand if a month ago you'd have Desi on that list.
They just looked out. Nope, there's
Nope,
nobody
nobody's
raising their hand. But
That's
there's
why,
credit, though.
that's why, you know what you learn from that? It's not to do and I told you so or anything. It has more to do with understanding, which you guys do better than anybody, Spilly, that the baseball season truly is a marathon.
It's an absolute grind.
It's a grind, and you may be awful for a month. You may be fantastic for a month. I'll give you an example. Ozzie Albies. Remember we were touting him as an MVP, you know, a few weeks back, and I think he's still going to have an extraordinary year. He already has. But his average has plummeted below 250.
Right? And they were ready to just go ahead and say he's, you know, an all-star, this, that, and the other thing. And you know, his numbers, still a lot of home runs.
No, it still suggests he probably should be. But the thing is that everybody, that pitch is in there 3-1. Everybody at this level rides a bit of a roller coaster. When I always crack up when somebody says, yeah, so-and-so's really streaky. Everybody in this game's streaky.
Right. You just try to make those streaks where you're going well last a little bit longer than when you're not. That's your goal.
3-1. And get back. Safe. That's the first out of the inning, and that'll bring up Parra.
Hang on a second. Nolan's hurt.
You know, he had to go back to that bag naturally quickly and kind of stabbed at the bag with his foot.
He did the smart thing and the wise thing, but not getting off too far on the line drive on the Subaru Supermo that Cabrera had to jump up. He thought it might have gotten by Reyes. He was ready to run.
Here's Parra. RBI single to right center, his first time up. Been so clutch this year. Here's another one talking about streaky. Remember in May, the Rockies were dead last in hitting with runners in scoring position?
Yeah.
They're now 4th in baseball.
They are 23 for their last 62 with runners in scoring position. Right around 375.
Yeah, Albies, great player. He's hitting 147. He's having a rough June. He's hitting 147 this month. 2 on in a 4-4 game with 1 out. Out of play. We were talking about the criteria back in the early 90s for Major League Baseball expansion. And originally there were 10 teams considered, excuse me, 10 cities considered. Buffalo, New York, because they did a great job and still do in attendance with their AAA team. Charlotte, Sacramento, Nashville, Orlando, Phoenix, who would get a team 5 years later, Tampa 5 years later, and Washington. So you look at that list, and Washington, Tampa, Phoenix now have teams.
Charlotte's still pushing for a team.
Charlotte's still pushing for a team. Nashville's, Billy, as you know, still pushing for a team.
Charlotte and Nashville, both AAA clubs.
I think the city you would add to that list now is Portland. And probably Las Vegas, right?
Yeah, they would be on the list.
Montreal again, right?
I'm pushing for Montreal again. You know, because if Washington, D.C. can get one after they lost one, why can't Montreal?
And Montreal in spring training, when they play the Blue Jays, they get 40,000 people at Olympic Stadium. They play a 2-game set there, and each night there's
well, they've already said they would
folks.
build a stadium downtown in downtown Montreal, about 38,000.
It's coming. I mean, we know expansion's coming. There's going to be 32 teams in Major League Baseball soon. I mean, I don't know how what you consider soon, but Montreal, to your point, Huey, it makes perfect sense. Give them a team back.
Yeah.
And if it's in downtown Montreal, giddy up.
Put it downtown, or put it, you know, adjacent to downtown on the river.
That's right. I wouldn't mind going up there.
Oh, I love Montreal. You know Montreal very well. You lived there for 1 or 2 off seasons when you were
one
playing
off
up there.
season.
Okay.
Yeah. Had a blast. Fun city.
2-2. And back up the middle. Paul's done it again. Here comes Nolan with the go-ahead run. 5-4 Colorado. 2 for 2, 2 ribbies for Gerardo Parra.
29 RBIs on the year. 9 buys from Nolan in the dugout. 2-seam runner on the Subaru Supermo, and he's just finding the barrel. That's what Gerardo's doing right now. He's just finding the barrel of the bat to the ball.
So it's the guy coming up, Ian Desmond. He walked his first time.
We pointed this out a couple days ago with Gerardo Parra, and the same applies for Ian Desmond. There's times where, like, we don't ever want to see a player get injured. David Dahl getting hurt was to the benefit of other guys because he gave steady at bats. For Gerardo, it's helped him. For Ian, it's helped him. And don't forget, there was a period where you're watching Gerardo play maybe one every couple days. And when Cargo was struggling, it made even a bigger logjam with the outfielders. Remember, we kept asking who plays when, and it just worked itself out, unfortunately, because of an injury, but it has helped out some of the guys on the current roster.
It's a foul ball. Yeah, I mean, the only absolute in the Rockies outfield was that Charlie Blackmon was going to be in center field, and every other day it was a different twosome.
Isn't it the game of baseball, though? Because everybody says, well, you have too much of this. You know, how's it going to work itself out? Baseball finds a way of working itself out. Whether the Mets a few years ago had too much pitching. Remember that? And they're like, oh, you need to trade one of them. No?
You can never have too much pitching, right?
No, but
that's what they said.
That's what they were saying about the Mets. They had too much.
Embarrassment of riches.
You know, you got a log jam in the outfield. What are you going to do? Well, it has a way of working itself out. It's unfortunate for David Dahl. I hope he's, recovering and gets back as soon as he can.
2-2.
You know what this is? I think with Nolan?
Raspberry.
Yeah. Because that's his left knee, the one that went so hard back into second base. So it's a good thing that he's just getting it taped up. It's going to hurt until October because you keep sliding on it and opening up an old wound every day.
And Lugo able to strike out Desmond. That's the second out of the inning. Tom Murphy will come up.
Huey, doesn't getting your knee taped up for Raspberry look like a enjoyable moment? I kind of miss those.
You know what I don't miss, though, when after the game you're trying to clean it out and you put some of the hydrogen peroxide and the other stuff in there.
Stings.
Ow.
Well, Keith Duggar would always tap me on the spot as soon as he was done doing it.
That sounds like a traitor.
Oh yeah, he's like, here you go, you're good. Whap, whap.
Wow, how's that feel? Well, it hurts.
1-0 on Murph. 2-0. It didn't look like Murphy picked up the fastball his first at bat from Lugo. See what kind of adjustment he makes here.
It was a little late on the fastball.
And that's on time, pulled into left field. Here comes Cargo, and the Rockies lead it 6-4. Murphy with his 4th RBI.
Ahead in the count. Made sure this time he was going to be on time, and he was out in front somewhat.
There's your adjustment, right?
Yeah, and that's what it is, a game within the game adjustment for Tom and his 4th RBI. Rockies at 6-4 now.
They get to clear Chad here in the inning, though Chad produced a ground ball to drive in a run last inning. If you're just joining us, the Rockies fell behind 3-0 in the first. They got a run on a Nolan home run in the bottom of the first. The Mets got another run at the top of the second. So again, the Rockies were down 3. Rockies tied it up in the bottom of the second with 3. Chad had a quick 1-2-3 inning in the top of the third. Now the Rockies have scored 2 more in the bottom of the third. Ho hum.
Just another day. Fastballs that were located on the outside corner to Chad. I don't think he'll throw a spinner. I think he'll go right back out with another fastball. Oh, he did throw one to him. Paul Sewell
Well, the Mets made a move before the ball game. They sent out Hansel Robles, who gave up a bunch of runs yesterday. You can't be a man down in the bullpen, we know, at Coors Field. That's strike 3. And they brought up Chris Flexen and added him to their bullpen late this afternoon. Rockies take a 6-4 lead.
Colorado as we head to the top of the 4th. As we continue talking about the 1993 season, we have to talk about where Buddy Black was that year.
I was 36 years old. I was in San Francisco with the Giants. The very first game that the Rockies played, a spring training game, I was the opposing pitcher. I was working on fastball command. I was trying to throw just fastballs in the strike zone, moving around. You know, I probably didn't throw many breaking balls. I think Eric Young led off the game. David Need was the pitcher.
Colorado went on to win that game 7-2, but Buddy would get revenge. He would get a play in Denver on May 12th, 1993, and his Giants would win that game 8-2. True.
You know what amazes me, Taylor, about Buddy? He never forgets anything.
No.
First spring training game, yeah, man, David Need was on the hill. I think EY was leading off. And I bet you if you check it, he's probably 100% accurate.
Working on fastball command.
Right. He's a crack up. Well, this is Luis Guillorme. We've seen him every night pinch hitting off the bench. Seth Lugo is scheduled here. So it is a short outing for Lugo in his first appearance at Coors Field. Bettis misses there, 2-1.
Luis walked last night as a pinch hitter.
That's outside, 3-1. Rockies won 10-8 yesterday. That's got 8 runs on 8 hits, and that's a leadoff walk. So a moment ago, Nolan was getting his knee taped up because he got a raspberry scab came off or whatever when he was making his way back to second on the line drive to second. And it reminded me of a story that Keith Hernandez told us yesterday about when he got to the big leagues. He got a little cut. He would open up a little cut on his finger periodically, and so he went in the trainer's room, and he didn't ask for a trainer. He was doing it himself. He was putting, his doctoring in himself and putting some, tough skin on there. And Bob Gibson walked in, and Gibson said, and I'll obviously not use the same language that Keith did since we weren't on the air yet. And he said, "What are you doing in here?" And there were a few more adjectives and expletives. and Keith Hernandez grabbed all the Band-Aids, he grabbed the tough skin, and he hightailed it out of there, and he said, he goes, I don't think I went in the trainer's room the rest of the year.
No, he said he put it all up in his locker, and he had his own dispensary there with all the, the gauze, Band-Aids, tough skin.
And a little pharmacy there, but it was no way he was going to do it in the trainer's room.
I'm not going. Honestly, though, that's the way it used to be. Guys would say, hey, what are you doing in here? Yeah, you don't need to see the trainer. Yeah, you did. They'd be like, get out, or the trainer, or you go into him and say, hey, you know what? My arm hurts when I do this. You know what you would say? Let's get this done with play first. Nice.
That's a really nice 3-6-3.
Trainer would say, well, don't do that.
Things are a little more sophisticated these days.
Yes, they are.
That was like one of the first bits of advice I ever received was from a minor league player that said, an old school minor league player, this is an unbelievable turn from Ian, even to get back to first base, just keep Chad out of it. But an old school major leaguer said, first thing you do is stay out of the training room. That's the best piece of advice I'll ever give you. The game's changed in that regard. Now you're like, if you have some injury, let the trainer know so you can get it taken care of.
Well,
which is the smart way to do it.
Keith came up and he said 2 guys ran that historic Cardinals clubhouse. He said Bob Gibson and Lou Brock, 2 future Hall of Famers, 2 of the all-time. I mean, they're Hall of Famers in the Hall of Fame, right? And it was like good cop, bad cop. And you remember all the stories George told us about Lou Brock, because Lou took George under his wing. And
well, Lou took Gibby a lot of guys under his wing.
Yep, and Gibby was, more the tough cop, and the good cop was Lou Brock. But they ran that Cardinal clubhouse 3-1 on Cabrera. He said, I'm not so sure how much he liked me anyhow, because to bring him up to the big leagues, that's when they had to let go of Tim McCarver. That's another walk. And of course, McCarver was Bob Gibson's caddy.
Catcher.
Yeah. Fourth walk, one of the walks was intentional. Conforto off the end of the bat, and Nolan showing that great range, throws him out. Couple of walks, no damage done in the 4th inning. The Rockies leading 6-4. Top of the order when we return. Sportsnet RM on Twitter to cast your vote. Of course, in the postgame show, you will learn of the results. This year's the 25th anniversary of the release of the movie The Sandlot. Who was your favorite character? Spilly, who do you have? Ham Porter, Benny the Jet, Squints, or
Wendy Peppercorn. I'd drown for her.
you would what?
She was the lifeguard.
All right, that's 2 votes for Wendy. Go ahead.
I have to go with Squints. I like, although Benny the Jet, he made it to the big leagues with the Dodgers. Not in real life.
There's a bullet up the middle for LeMahieu. Did we not say DJ's going to have 3 hits tonight?
Yeah,
he was 0 for yesterday.
0 for.
Well, he's now 1 hit away. He's 2 for 3. And the new pitcher out there is Paul Sewald. So Sewald gives up a base hit to LeMahieu, and Charlie Blackmon will come up. Seth Lugo, 3 innings, 6 runs, 3 earned, 6 hits.
Well, on the year, left-handers hitting 230 off of Paul, right-handers 264. Last year he had 13 holds as a rookie.
That was a healthy hack.
That was a healthy hack, maybe a hacked off hack, because Charlie struck out twice against Lugo. Lugo did have 5 strikeouts.
You know what? There's times, Drew, and you can attest to it too, that where sometimes you're better off as a hitter if you can't find your timing, your rhythm, to just take your biggest swing that you could possibly take. And taking it bat where maybe you can feel something. Sometimes a mechanical adjustment will click. If you've ever played golf, there's times where people say, hit your driver as hard as you can, but make sure you do keep your head on the golf ball. Because there's sometimes you're not in your legs or you're not in your hands. So I don't mind the occasional overswing.
And it means you're not trying to feel for your swing then. You're just like, okay, grip it and rip it.
Yeah, this from the guy who never hits his driver, Spilly. He only hits his 3-wood. This ball is pulled to second, and that'll be a double play.
And the first 15,000 fans through the gates tomorrow will receive a 25th anniversary throwback replica jersey, courtesy of King Supers. So here it is. Still want to get here early, and then on the back, that's the number 93. And it's the first 15,000 fans, because a couple days ago I said the first 15 fans. Okay, so it's the first 15,000.
Get here early.
Yeah, that's
pretty cool.
A bunch of people camped out from the moment you said that.
I was wondering what they were doing out front, waiting.
Yeah. A lot of people not happy with you after that statement. Nolan, a home run and a single, 2 runs scored. And a raspberry on his knee. 6-4 Colorado. Nolan came into the game 3rd in the National League in OPS at .958. Freddie Freeman over 1,000. Brandon Nimmo over 1,000. Those are the 2 guys ahead of Nolan. Single, double, and a home run last night for Arenado. Just needed that elusive triple for his 2nd career cycle. And he walks in front of Cargo. Cargo, a line drive to deep right, and a walk and a run scored. He hit a blast opposite field, didn't he, last night, Spilly?
Talked to him about it today, and he said that it felt so good to take a swing like that where you can watch the ball, because typical trajectory for Cargo is he pulls it and he does his walk. Opposite field walk, he said it felt so great. Just picture Ken Griffey Jr. Unbelievable. The amount of power it takes to hit a ball opposite field on a line like that.
And they pop him up here. Handled by Flores, and the Rockies are done. They had a hit and a walk and a man left. We go to the 5th. It's Colorado 6 and New York 4. Love, it's what makes a Subaru a Subaru. And by Wells Fargo. Wells Fargo customers get your 2-for-1 Rockies club level tickets by visiting wellsfargo.com/Rockies. More images of the birth of a franchise as we celebrate the silver anniversary this week of the Rockies' inception. Late great Don Baylor. Chad Bettis' first pitch is in there, strike one. Bettis in the 5th inning facing Todd Frazier, Dominic Smith, and Wilmer Flores.
I like that some of those videos were of that expansion draft in 1993. Have you guys looked at the history of that draft at all?
A little bit, yeah.
So the whole process I found fascinating. Now, typically, Major League Baseball has only had a handful of expansion drafts. 1969, 1977, 93. What was different about 93 was that the American League was involved, even though the Florida Marlins and the Colorado Rockies were both National League teams. So the way it was working was both the Rockies and the Marlins paid a franchise fee to join the National League. They also were not allowed to have any TV revenue for the 1993 season. The American League also received a percentage of the franchise fees that both teams paid for.
In the air, right center field. Blackman's going to move in front of Cargo and make the catch.
So here's the aspect that made it so interesting for me is because the American League was part of the draft, it allowed some of the players to be available. And both the American League and the National League were allowed to protect 15 players on their current roster. The other players that weren't protected fell into that draft, the expansion draft. So that's how you were able to get some American League players on the National League teams. And now you had two different thought processes too. The Florida Marlins went for more veteran players. The Colorado Rockies, they looked through the minor league systems. That's how Vinny Castilla. They went for a little bit of higher upside players than the Colorado Rockies.
And then what would happen after that, Spilly? So you had they could protect the 15 guys, but then once they took a player off that team, they could pull some more guys back. So it's not like they could just raid one team of all these players. So at that time, I was with the Rangers, and I wasn't one of the 15 that were protected. And so there was some talk that I might be drafted here, but what they did instead is they took Kevin Reimer because Milwaukee wanted Reimer.
That was the Bichette deal.
That was the Bichette trade.
Wow.
So that's how it worked. And then so that's after they took Rhymes, then I was pulled back.
That's a fair ball.
I think it worked out okay.
It worked out just fine. This is going to be interesting at third. DJ's not going to get a throw off, so it'll be a triple for Dominic Smith. And for Smith, that is his first career triple.
This landed right on the line, I think. Yeah, caught part of the painted chalk line. Cargo gets it in. Let's see if DJ didn't have a grip on this. Yeah, this is the way he kind of reacted. He didn't want to just start to throw it, and that ball airmails on you.
Rockies took David Need, number 1. And the Marlins took outfielder Nigel Wilson. Center field pretty well hit by Flores. It'll stay in the park, but it will get the run home. So Smith scores to make it 6-5. Flores with his 16th RBI. Two outs, nobody on. Mesoraco coming up, the catcher for the Mets. 2-run double in the first, struck out swinging his next time.
He struck out on a curveball.
I think we talked about, I love this draft because of the names in it. Some of the names that were drafted, Trevor Hoffman was in it, Eric Young, we know that. Some future major league managers, Brad Ausmus, Joe Girardi. It's just kind of fun looking at the names of guys that were picked up.
David Need came out of the Braves organization. The Rockies had a shift on, so Mesoraco gets a base hit the other way. And that'll bring up Reyes. Darren Holmes, he came out of Milwaukee's organization. There's some other names.
There's Kevin Reimer, who I was mentioning. Kevin ended up going to Milwaukee, had a nice little career there, then really made a lot of money when he went over to Japan. Big power hitting guy.
Yeah, big strong guy.
Yeah, really couldn't play position. He was listed as an outfielder.
That smoke down the right field line. The tying run is Mesoraco, and they're going to hold him at third. Robert Gesellman is up. The pitcher is due up. You got to figure they're going to pinch hit here.
Yeah, Jose Batista. I think Rockies fans remember after the trade, Jose Reyes coming over. Didn't really endear himself to anybody after that trade. Really said he didn't want to be here. That was a couple days after just being traded here.
.92 pitches in. It's been a struggle for Chad the last 4 or 5 starts. And an ERA above 8 over his last 4.
One win that he did have was that start in Texas when the Rockies scored the 6 runs in the 2nd inning for Chad. Career win number 30 for Chad.
So Jose Batista at the plate, pinch hitting with 2 outs, and he takes strike 1.
Right in the heart of the Subaru strike zone.
Mesoraco at third, Reyes at second. 6-5 Colorado. 7 hits for the Rockies, 9 hits for the Mets. Murphy get a fresh baseball, 2-1.
Really, for a number of reasons, obviously, like Chad, to get through this inning. But you got the left-hander on deck. You got Chris Russell warming up. Get him through this inning with the lead 6-5, still in line for the victory.
But this is his last hitter.
Exactly.
He's either retiring him and moving to the next inning, or you would figure Chris Russell will be in the game. "13 base runners in 4 2/3, 9 hits, 4 walks. "3-1, time was called. Well, everybody ran out of there like there was a wasp's nest uncovered.
You don't want to stay around the dirt if you're the hitter. Just in case the pitcher kind of lets up a little bit, lets one fly.
And that's ball 4. Now they're loaded up for Brandon Nimmo. And here comes Buddy. Chris Russell, who came into the ball game last night and got a 3-pitch strikeout with the bases loaded, will come in again with the bases loaded. Trying to keep the Rockies in front. Rockies baseball on AT&T Sportsnet is brought to you by Southwest Airlines. Low fares, no hidden fees. That's transparency. Back and forth we've gone in this game. The Mets got 3 in the first against Chad Bettis. The Rockies came back in the second, ultimately tied at 4-4. They went ahead 6-4. It's now 6-5. The Mets have the bases loaded. Brandon Nimmo's 1 for 3. Is coming up against Chris Russell, making his 25th appearance, and he feels like he's got things back on track over his last 3 appearances.
3 appearances, 1 2/3 innings over those 3 appearances, no runs or no hits. Again, they're just checking. The home plate umpire was with Chris to ask, are you going from the stretch or the windup? Chris said, I'm going from the windup.
6-5 Colorado, 2 outs, top of 5. Russin, so invaluable a year ago in a variety of roles. Short, long, left on left. As a setup guy, it didn't matter where you put him, he excelled. Trying to get back to that spot. Here's the 0-1. At third base, Devin Mesoraco, he had a base hit. Jose Reyes doubled down the right field line. He's at second, and Batista, who just pinch hit, walked.
Lefty that Chris faced last night was Michael Conforto.
Three conferences left. It's the first time I've looked in the middle innings in a while, and I say, wow, it's
well, remember,
whittled down a little bit.
Steve had to come out in the first inning. That was one, and then another time Tom went out.
2-1. Off the end of the bat, good pitch, 2-2.
Chris still has the option of the quick pitch since he is declared he's going from the windup.
2-2. And even when he doesn't do it, it's in your mind, right?
Yeah, that's why I was thinking about it, because you think it, especially left on left, that's when he loves to pull it.
The benefit that Brandon Nimmo has is that he doesn't have a leg kick. He keeps his feet on the ground. There is no like major timing mechanism for Brandon Nimmo.
Two. Good block.
Almost in unison, just because how far Tom had to slide over. He's had 2 or 3 of those tonight. A couple with Chad, now one with Chris. See how wide he was right prior to that pitch being delivered. Look at how wide that base is, and just trying to get as big as he can with his upper half.
3-2. Ball 4. And the game is tied. It's the 5th bases loaded walk in the last 4 days that has produced a run against the Rockies. And now the switch hitter is Drupal Cabrera.
We know about the 2 on Sunday in Texas, and then there was 2 on Monday against the Mets.
Inside, ball 1. The Rockies in the month of June, with the pen being in a tough place, they've allowed almost 46% of inherited runners to score. And that's going to be a base hit. 2 more are going to score, and now the Rockies trail 8-6. That'll close the book on Chad Bettis. 8 runs allowed, all earned in 4 2/3. And that's now 9 straight home games. An ongoing major league record that the Rockies have allowed at least 8 runs.
Well, just eludes Trevor knocks us down. The only thing that it's going to prevent, because he's not going to be able to throw anybody out, but it would prevent one more run from scoring.
Michael Conforto, 9th man to hit here in the inning. And again, that ongoing record again is at home. 9 straight home games where the Rockies have allowed at least 8 runs. Got a chance to pick off Nimmo. And he just got back.
Yeah, Nimmo was going, and Chris and Trevor realized it. But by that time, Nimmo had started to go back to the bag, and it's close. He gets his left hand in before the tag on the Subaru Supermo.
Two and 0 on Conforto. Singled in the first to drive in a run. He's 1 for 3. Nelson got it by him there. 2 and 1. Three and 1. Brian Shaw up in the Rockies pen. And another walk, so the bases are loaded. And Todd Frazier will be the 10th man to come up here in the 5th inning. And
He led the inning off.
Buddy indicating he wants another mound visit to buy some more time to probably bring in the right-hander Shaw here against Frazier.
We let Coors Field be the backdrop for your next game day or non-game day meeting or special event. Groups of 15 to 200 will enjoy great views of the city as well as the field from this unique venue. Buddy just wanted him to go out and talk to allow Brian to throw some more pitches out in the bullpen.
And Buddy, you can see he's not saying anything. He's just buying some more time. So unfortunately, Chris, who'd been good the last 3 outings, faces 3 hitters. He walks 2 and gives up that 2-run single that snuck through the left side to Cabrera. fifth inning. 4 runs have crossed for the Mets. They have the bases loaded again. And the third pitcher in the inning will be the scuffling Brian Shaw, looking to turn things around. A guy who has been one of the best setup men in baseball the last 5 years with the Cleveland Indians. Has been going through the roughest patch of his career.
Yeah, the last 14 games for Brian, a 12.41 ERA. Opponent's hitting .435 against him.
Todd Frazier at the plate. Low target from Murphy. Ball had a lot of cut on it, which is his MO, but it missed the strike zone, so it's 1-0.
And you hope the numbers between these two continue, because Frazier's 0 for 8 career against Brian.
And I know folks at home are wondering, you know, how can Buddy, you know, keep calling on Brian Shaw as tough as it's been for him? Well, there's only one way to get out of a funk. It's the same thing with a hitter. If you're an 0 for 19, you can't get a hit sitting on the bench. And for Brian Shaw, as Buddy said, for him to correct things, they're going to have to keep calling on his number, because history suggests he's going to figure it out. It would be different. It would be dramatically different if this was a rookie or a second-year player who's still kind of formulating who they are at the big league level. One and two.
Well, I noticed something with him yesterday, and it was just how quick his tempo was in between pitches. He was throwing a pitch what felt like every 8 seconds. And there's times where you need to just slow it down a little bit, gather yourself, try to focus in on the glove. And already tonight, I'm noticing that the pace in between pitches has slowed down.
2-2. That was his slider as opposed to his cutter there. Came in the mid 80s. The cutter will be 93, 94, 95.
But sometimes too, that could be too hard. Maybe try to take a couple miles an hour off the cutter. I just think for Brian, he just needs some good luck too to happen his way. Maybe if they do hit it, it's right at somebody.
2-2. That's in. 3-2. Three and two on Frazier. And on the ground is short. Trevor's got it, and that'll end the inning. 4 runs for the Mets. They take an 8-6 lead, middle of 5. Long way to go.
Mets, and let's continue talking about that expansion draft in 1992. That was the first draft the Colorado Rockies were a part of. Darren Holmes, Rockies' current bullpen coach, was selected in that draft, and we had the chance to talk to him about what that experience was like.
I was out fishing with my dad, and I told him, hey, you know, you want to go home and watch the draft? Third pick for the Colorado Rockies was me, and, you know, I looked at my dad like, did they say my name? Like, I thought I heard my name. He says, oh, you heard your name. I'm going to Colorado, so, I mean, we sold out, I think, all the way till the end of August of '97, every single game. So we're playing in front of 45 to 70,000 people every night for 5 years. It was unbelievable.
He mentioned the numbers, and Spilly had touched on it earlier, 4.4 million fans in that first season. And today, you guys, June 20th, back in 1993, the Rockies surpassed 2 million fans, and that was just through 26 games that season. So pretty incredible when you think about how many fans showed up to watch the Rockies that season.
It really is remarkable. I mean, we'll just use you take 80 dates. 80 times 50,000 would be 4 million. They drew 4.4 million, and as Darren fondly remembers, and everybody was involved back then, every night you had a football stadium crowd.
Rocking.
Yeah.
Stands rocking, shaking the stadium.
Robert Gesellman's now in the ball game for the Mets, and Trevor hits this ball in the air straight away. Conforto makes the catch, 1 out.
Gesellman, 7 straight scoreless appearances over 8 1/3 innings. Only allowed 1 hit, 10 strikeouts, a couple walks during that time, and an .037 batting average against. Had a hold in the save in the Arizona series prior to the Mets coming to Colorado.
Here's Gerardo. He has a couple singles, a couple runs batted in, and he has scored a run. Selman touches the zone there. It's 0-1. Selman was a terrific athlete going up in Southern California. Went to Westchester High School, which is right by LAX, if you're familiar at all with the LA area. And he was a very good basketball player on a team that reached number 3 in the nation. 2 outs. His dad's a former pro, played the Phillies organization for a few years. Desmond coming up. Rockies down by 2. Desmond, the last 5 weeks, hitting .284 with 9 home runs.
Even if he falls behind in the count, 0-1, 1-2, still has that look of confidence.
Balls and a strike.
That was a foul tip.
That's why I couldn't tell. They put up on the board that it was a ball, but he did get a piece of it, Spilly?
Yeah, he fouled it back. Umpire's waving his finger.
Okay, 1 and 2. He set up away, and the fastball's off the plate at 95. 2 and 2. Yesterday, the Rockies won 10-8 to snap that 8-game losing streak at home. Game 3 of a 7-game homestand.
Also tied a season high in hits yesterday with 16.
I'm not going to go out on a limb here by what I'm about to say, but 8 is not the winning number. You just know that.
No, it's not.
Ball 4. And Spilly, again, going back to what you said at the start of the ball game, a month ago, 5-6 weeks ago, he's swinging at that and the inning's over.
He was swinging at the 1-2 pitch. There's a borderline pitch that he would have fired at. And I think, Huey, you hit it when you said confidence. Confidence is starting to grow for Ian Desmond. More importantly, you can see the timing. When you have good timing, you can see the baseball. When you see the baseball, you can gauge whether it's a strike or a ball. And I think the most important numbers we've seen over the last couple weeks.
There's a base hit to right. Desmond is going to stop at second. And pinch hitting for Brian Shaw will be Ryan McMahon with 2 on and 2 outs.
A couple hits for Murph tonight. Pulled the one in the 3rd inning and now goes the other way. It sounded like a broken bat. Doesn't matter. You'll take it as a hitter. Murph 2 for 3. Desi gave a false break at first, like he was going to take off and go, and then Murph, yeah, it was off the end of the bat of the Subaru Supermo. Just throws it out to right field. Now 1st and 2nd with 2 outs for Ryan McMahon. It's Billy, touch on the timing. In your perch down there, you've got a great angle for the hitters, and you can see the timing together.
It's pretty simple when you're watching a foot get down and then the natural rhythm of a person's swing, get ready to fire at the baseball. Sometimes it's hard to tell from center field cam or looking from behind a hitter, but from the side, that's how you want to look at and judge a hitter's timing. You want to see the front foot land when the ball, and it's really hard to tell, but when the ball is about halfway to home plate.
1-0 on McMahon. This ball crushed deep right center field, way back, gone. 3-run pinch hit home run, Ryan McMahon, and the Rockies go back in front. I'd say, Spilly, he got his foot down on time there.
This is so great for Ryan McMahon. It's been a bit of a grind. You can see he's fired up. That means a lot to him. He's been working his tail off, trying to get the timing down. It's like a hanging changeup, gets the barrel out in front and rips it.
You know what I noticed on that swing there, Spilly? His hand positioning, they dropped it, it looks like, or he did. Maybe he was working with Jeff Salazar, Dwayne Espy, but that looked like his hands weren't so far up by his ear.
He does tend to get a little long with his hands because they are wrapped behind him. It's a good observation, Huey.
9-8 Rockies. Second pinch hit home run for the club this year. First for Ryan, second career home run. This is popped up shallow right. This is going to be Nimmo coming on and handling it, and that will be the final out of the 5th inning. Ryan McMahon off the bench. Rockies down 2, not for long. 9-8 Colorado.
Go back and talk a little bit about this swing, because what Ryan had been doing is kind of resting the bat here. Notice how the hands are up in this area right here. It allows for him, once that foot comes down, and Billy was talking about the timing, watch where the hand positioning is. Foot's down, hands are here, so they can come to a direct path to the ball and allow you to get maximum extension. And some of the StatCasts went off the bat at 106.5 miles an hour, distance of 413 feet, and a great feeling for Ryan McMahon, because you make these subtle tweaks, you're not sure what's going to happen, but immediately it pays dividends for him.
He's got a pretty swing, and when he's on time, he can hit him a long way. What a special moment for McMahon. 9-8 Colorado. I think for a long time, Rockies fans, they're flashing back. They think it's 1998.
What humidor?
I've gotten a couple of texts from friends to that effect right now. Harrison Musgrave to Dominic Smith. 1 ball, 1 strike.
And before anybody says anything or thinks or tweets anything, the humidor is still in effect, okay, folks?
Yes.
All right. I put my dry cleaning in it every day.
And your ties that you've pilfered from people.
So Jenny told me a little bit more about this tie. It's a Glenn Ross tie with the reference to the coffee for closers. So that's why you got the Motorola, you got the Wall Street ticker tape on the bottom, calculator, broken pencil, because you obviously made a bad trade. It's a cool tie. Good luck getting it back.
Pretty good Broadway show back in the day. 2-2. Dominic Smith, we told you, was the 11th pick in the draft a few years ago. This is a great success story. You know how hard baseball's worked on their RBI program. Yeah. And Dominic came out of the RBI program in Compton, California.
That's neat.
Line drive to left, and that's going to go to the corner. Not so neat for the Rockies. No. It's a leadoff double. Folks, everybody gets tacos again tomorrow. The Rockies have eclipsed the 7-run mark, so make your way to participating Colorado Taco Bell locations between 4 and 6 to get your Rockies taco special with Moss at Taco Bell. So Musgrave now will set his sights on Wilmer Flores after the opposite field double. Dominic Smith is a home run shy of the cycle. Flores a walk, floater to second, and a sac fly. Sliders down low. Two balls and a strike. And on the ground is short. No advancement. That'll work out.
Thank you.
Yep.
Oh, All Colorado State fans are invited to watch the Rockies and the Marlins this coming Sunday. You can buy the CSU ticket package to get a limited edition hat at rockies.com/CSU.
Mesoraco, 2-run double in the first, a strikeout and a single. 11 hits for the Mets, 9 hits for the Rockies. Colorado back in front 9-8.
You said 8 wasn't going to be a winning number.
Well, you hope 9's the winning number, but this game's been crazy already. That's what the Rockies need, honestly. Where 9 is the winning number.
Yes.
Or something north there. I hope it, but that
they
the
say
Mets, the Mets end up with 8.
Yeah.
That's what the Rockies need more than anything right now.
Yeah.
Where the bullpen puts their foot down and gets a little bit of confidence going moving forward.
You're going to need a little help on those borderline strikes if it's going to go like that. You can't miss out on it. 1-0 pitch right at the bottom of the Subaru strike zone with pitch number 2.
I'd be careful of Mesoraco turning it loose here. 3-0. 3-1. That's fouled off. Hey, Spilly, you know such things. You know when it's the winter and it's Groundhog Day and it comes out and if it sees its shadow
In February?
Yeah. Then there's gonna be 6 more weeks of winter.
Right, Puxatawny Phil.
Right, Puxatawny Phil. Guess where Devin Mesoraco's from?
From where Groundhog's Day is?
What'd you just say?
Puxatawny, Pennsylvania.
Puxatawny?
Yeah. That's ball 4.
Groundhog's Day, great movie.
I set him up.
I answered it.
Then you said, "Where's he from?"
No, it was more
Huey
like
threw all his papers up in the air.
it was a rhetorical question.
Well, nice comeback. I like that. Force all the way around for Reyes. He'll come in from the right side.
Bill Murray.
Good movie. Great movie.
Outside on Reyes. 1 for 2. He had an intentional walk his first time up. He doubled down the right field line. His last at bat. Reyes this year in 82 at bats has only 14 hits.
They keep hinting at retirement for Jose Reyes. For some folks in New York.
How do you do that?
I don't know.
You put a fungo in his locker, put a clipboard, maybe a whistle.
Like coaching shorts from the 1993.
How do you hint at retirement?
I don't know. But that's all I've read, you know, in the papers from New York is, you know, trying to see if he would retire.
I like the fungo in the locker.
That's good.
That borderline pitch misses, so it's 3-0 on Reyes. Harrison Musgrave, first inning of work for Musgrave. Third pitcher tonight out of the pen for Buddy Black. Bettis went 4 2/3, allowed 8 runs, 9 hits. Russin faced 3 hitters, a hit and 2 walks. That's a strike. Shaw got out of a bases loaded situation. He did not. He inherited that. Got a ground ball to short to get out of the 5th inning. The only hitter he faced. (3-1) from Musgrave. And ball 4. Wow. That's back-to-back walks, and once again the Mets have the bases loaded. The pitcher spot's coming up, and you know that Mickey Callaway is going to go to the bench. He's going to go to Plawecki as catcher.
That's 9 walks. 1 intentional. Still 9 walks tonight for the Rockies. Jake McGee's up, getting loose in a hurry for Colorado.
The Mets have a 4-man bench. They've used 3 of them, and it's the 6th inning. Something to keep in mind.
You know, all they have left is Rosario, the starting shortstop. And everything it looks like for Harrison, he's losing on the arm side. Everything is up and away.
Get a ground ball. A fair ground ball. Right at somebody.
It doesn't matter who it is. They'll turn it.
So with Plawecki being used, and if he stays in the game, I understand it, but one of the catchers will most likely come out, which means the emergency catcher is who, Huey?
Now who's on first?
It'd be Jose Reyes?
Probably. And you're not going to put Rosario back there. Maybe Wilmer Flores.
Does he know that?
He would. When they hand him the gear and the catcher's glove.
Two and two.
There's a low strike he asked for. It's really on the Subaru strike zone that he hadn't been getting.
I mean, when you have 12 walks, actually 13 walks between 2 teams, and there's a lot of borderline pitches, sometimes, you know, the zone on a night like tonight, it wouldn't be awful to have it a little bit bigger.
2-2 fouled off. This is certainly a game where you want to have last licks. And now it is full yet again.
This is where the Mets were last inning with Brandon Nimmo. He's up with the bases loaded.
Nimmo's on deck.
He ended up walking.
Bases loaded, 3-2 on Plawecki. Ground ball to third. And Nolan will turn the double play. And the Rockies get out of it. The Mets have left 10 on through 6.
for their home opener was truly one of the most unbelievable experiences that I've ever seen. It was the joy on the faces of families, moms and dads, taking their kids to a major league game in Denver, and they just kept coming. And I mean, it's hard to imagine that you're going to get 80,000 people to a baseball game, and that's what they had. I was fascinated, and it really is, like I said, a memory that I'll never forget.
Our friend Dwayne Kuiper describing being in the booth at Mile High Stadium in front of 80,000 people when the Rockies took on the Montreal Expos. Captain Kruko did such a great job broadcasting the Giants and have for years. New pitchers, Anthony Swarzak, Charlie Blackmon will lead it off. Rockies trying to add on. They're up 9-8. And no swing. Charlie's 0 for 3 tonight. A couple of strikeouts and granted into a 4-6-3 double play. He had a couple hits last night and a couple of walks. He was on 4 times.
First time the Rockies have seen Anthony in this series.
This is a guy like the Mets like a lot.
Yeah, averages over 10.5 strikeouts per 9 innings last year. Lefties hit 198 against him. The year 0-1 with the 368, but as you can see from the 11 strikeouts into 7 1/3, just 3 walks.
Two and two. Charlie's been swinging the bat pretty well, but he hasn't gotten Charlie hot yet, and you know he's going to. 3 and 2.
No, he's getting his hits. He's hit in 21 out of his last 25.
Yeah, I mean, who wouldn't take that?
Right, and right around 300.
But he's not Charlie hot yet.
Not Charlie hot.
Three-two, fouled off.
Should explain what he's doing right there. You'll see a hitter hit the bat to see if he can find if there's a crack. He didn't like how the ball fell off his bat. He got jammed. Just making sure the bat wasn't cracked. There's a pretty noticeable sound the bat will make if it is cracked. Even a hairline fracture on a bat will make a different sound. And you can explain, I mean, nothing is worse than hitting with a broken bat when you make solid contact, because the bat will explode.
Yeah, and it could just be a little hairline crack in it that you can't really see.
3-2, high fly ball, deep right. Take a good look, you won't see it for long. Charlie Blackmon, home run number 14. The bat was solid.
Solid contact. Home run number 14 this year. How about home run number 125 for his career? Boy, he turned this fastball around. That ball was out away from him. He went out, got it, hooked it. There we go. Talking about getting Charlie hot. Another Charlie home run.
Just his 3rd Coors Field home run this year. Nolan had a home run back in the 1st. 10-8 Colorado. Back-to-back ball games with 10 runs. 3 of their last 4 they've been in double figures. And this is on the ground to second. First time Arenado's been retired tonight. Cargo coming up 0 for 2 and a walk.
He's still looking at that bat, trying to see if it. Hey, Charlie, you know what?
good enough.
It's good. It's good. This is even better. Yeah, you got it right on the sweet spot. And it sounded solid.
Oh, he squared it up.
I know. I don't know why he's still checking it. I'd be like,
Do you want it in the third deck or something?
I don't know.
I think it also boils back down to one of the at-bats he had earlier in this evening, which was in the fourth inning. We saw him take a very healthy hack, and it was after striking out twice. And those types of swings are extremely important. Sometimes there's a period where you foul a pitch and you see it go into the opposite field, and you know that your timing is getting a lot closer. You don't want to cheat, and that's the difference for hitters. You don't want to be guessing. You don't want to try to cheat. And sometimes just taking one of these extremely aggressive swings will put your mechanics back in work.
2 balls and a strike on Cargo. That home run for Charlie, number 125 of his career. And for Charlie, he's now the 10th Rocky to hit 125 or more home runs in purple. Of course, that man has more than 200 home runs in a Rockies uni. And that's a base hit.
We can safely say that is a broken bat.
Yeah, give it to Charlie to bang on the ground. Just double check.
Just a check. Well, let's go back to Charlie's with this solid, unbroken bat. Because this ball on the Subaru StatCast travels 411 feet. A high launch angle of 35 degrees, over 100 miles an hour. I'm just saying, you couldn't hit it 100 miles an hour off the bat if it wasn't solid.
Here's Story. Reached on an error by the third baseman Frazier and scored in the second. Lined out and hit a fly ball to center. So officially 0 for 3. Well, Cargo, that's baseball tonight. So he has a broken bat hit there. His first time up, he had an absolute laser to deep right that was caught. Not in the trainer's room, though.
No.
It's been a little flex off.
Yeah, a little icy hot, whatever they use. So flex off 454.
For folks that have been around this town a long time, back before there were 11 suits and 9 trainers behind every NBA bench, when it was Doug Moe and Alan Bristow, that was the coaching staff, and Chopper Travellini was the trainer, traveling secretary, concierge. I mean, he did everything, right? And Chopper was kind of taught by other, and I put in air quote, trainers back in the day, right? He came up with the Virginia Squires with Dr. J. Yeah, the ABA. And what his remedy for everything was flex all 454. Got a cold? Here's flex all 454.
Like Robitussin.
Called strike 3 on Trevor. 2 outs.
It's about the same as the Vicks Vapor Rub. That's what it was as a kid. That Flexol smelled as bad.
Yeah.
My favorite, so playing in Japan, playing overseas, if you got hit by a pitch, it was the ice spray, the cold spray. And so, like, that was the equivalent of Flexol 454 in Japan was cold spray. You see it now with the World Cup in soccer. It's fantastic.
I love that stuff.
It's amazing what it can make an athlete do. They just jump right back up and start sprinting.
Para, fair ball. That'll end the inning. Flores touches the bag. The Rockies got another run. Charlie Blackmon with his 14th of the year. A no doubter to right. 10-8 Rockies.
We head to the top of the 7th. It is 10-8 Colorado. Now all night long we've been talking about 1993 and what it meant for the Colorado Rockies. But how about some pop culture for reference? We got to talk about what was popular then with Best Movie, Jurassic Park, top song, I Will Always Love You by Whitney Houston. And then how about the price of gas? Just $1.16. That would be nice if that could return. Cheers and Saved by the Bells. They aired their final episodes. Beanie Babies were popular. And then get this, Drew, just to make you feel old a little more, Kyle Freeland was born May 14th. Now, Kyle Freeland is about 5 months younger than me because I was born in December. So, sorry to bring that one up, but these are some good topics. What do you think, Drew?
I think they're great topics. Taylor, I want to ask you something because Spilly, who's considerably older than you, brain locked on this yesterday. You know who Cliff Clavin is, right?
I do not.
Okay, Taylor, we're done with you this evening. You have a nice night. We'll talk to you tomorrow afternoon. Spilly.
Yeah.
Cliff Clavin. Cheers.
Yeah, look, I was a big Sam Malone guy, and I was still upset at the final episode when Diane and Sam, I didn't know what was going to happen. Are they going to sail off into the sunset? So, yeah.
You went home and binge watched it last night, didn't you?
He just Wikipedia'd that thing.
No, I did not.
Oh, boy.
Saved by the Bell.
Jake McGee is in there. He got Nimmo to ground out. He got a first pitch strike to Cabrera.
No. Straight up no.
Straight up no.
Straight up no.
You gotta make it to the 2000s for her to like get some of the references.
Taylor, I'm talking to your mom later.
Hey, but I do have to say, I do know one thing about Cheers. It was filmed in Boston because as a kid, when we would go play the Red Sox, I actually was taken to the restaurant that it was filmed. So I do know a little bit about the show, but just none of the actors or actresses.
Bull and Finch Pub.
Yeah, it's great. It was cool. I had no reference in terms of the show, but it was cool to go there and be like, oh, something was filmed here.
Yeah, I believe it's still going strong.
It is.
This is gloved by McGee. And he throws the changeup to Desmond, 2 outs.
Play by Jake to snag that one. If he doesn't get it, that's
up the middle.
That's a base hit.
And you know, off the bat, didn't you? I thought it was up the middle. And then all of a sudden, Jake with the goalie-like reaction.
Let's see where Trevor is. He's pulled up the middle. He's not going to get that. Jake does, and a little soft toss to first.
So here's Michael Conforto facing McGee. Jake's got a great bullpen demeanor in that he stays pretty steady. I mean, you never see him get too high, too low. Affable guy.
When we were talking to him 2 days ago in the dugout, kind of talking about some of the woes of the staff, and you could just tell from the tone of his voice that he's been down some of these roads before. Maybe not this long of a road, but he's been down a road before that there's been struggle.
And that's why when you hear Buddy after games and before games asked about the bullpen, and naturally it's a daily question. These are his guys, number one. I mean, people who say, well, you know, change. That's not how it works. No,
you can't just change them out.
Right. And the other thing is, as we've talked about, they're not puppies.
No.
They have strong resumes, and not just doing it during the regular season. They've done it in the postseason.
And
so you got to rely on that. You got to have to rely on these guys figuring it out. 2-2, and that's fouled off.
But it does need to happen sooner rather than later.
There's no question.
Yeah.
That's not us saying it. That,
No,
you go ask Jake McGee and Brian Shaw and that group. They say we got to get it going. Saying that, you know, for over a week. They know that it's been a rough go. George used to say this all the time, Frazier. He said the toughest thing to do when you have a rough outing, especially when you're a late game guy and you fail to protect the lead and the club loses, is walking in that clubhouse after.
All eyes are on you.
Swung on and missed. Great inning for Jake. His first 1-2-3 inning since June 3rd. He gets a strikeout at Conforto, a couple of ground balls. Stretch time in Denver. The Rockies up 10-8. Inning. Ian Desmond will lead it off, bottom third of the Colorado order. Second inning of work for Anthony Swarzak. Rockies got a run off from last inning when Charlie Blackmon took him deep. On Desi, hitting .315 his last 21 games. 2 walks. Struck out in the third. He scored a couple runs tonight.
You can see why Swarzak can be just a little tough, because he's got a slight pause. As he starts to come up, he'll pause just for a second and then kind of rush to the plate.
Two Floridians battling here. Desi from Sarasota still lives there in the off season with his wife and 3 little boys. Swarzak's from Fort Lauderdale. Swarzak's like Trevor Story. He had signed a national letter of intent to go to LSU, but was drafted by Minnesota and signed. Second-round pick.
Yeah, when you get in the second round, you gotta. That money's hard to turn down.
Two on Desmond. Well, he's gone to right with authority. 7 of his home runs this year have gone to right field. including last night.
And those are good foul balls, Drew. You go third deck, opposite field on a line. Earlier in the season, all his foul balls were towards the tarp, pulled foul to the third base side. That's not a good foul ball. It means your swing is in and out of the zone.
And then taking that slider that started on the plate and ended up off.
He's seeing so many more pitches now.
Yeah.
Talked about the walks being up, and now it's another 3-2 count. And yet another walk. Try to put some pressure on Swarzak with his speed. Rockies up 2, hitting in the bottom of the 7th. Let's go back to 1993. We'll have fun with this stuff all week long, really all season long. But the MVP in the American League was Frank Thomas. Barry Bonds won the MVP. He won 7 of them. This was his first with the Giants. He'd won several with Pittsburgh. That was his first year, in fact, in San Francisco. Maddox won the Cy Young. Blackjack McDowell in the American League. Tim Salmon, Rookie of the Year for the Angels, your old teammate.
Fish.
Big fish.
Figure out how he got that nickname?
No idea. Mike Piazza, he'd have a decent career. Manager of the Year, Gene Lamont, and our good friend Dusty Baker. So long Dusty's been around, huh? Reggie Jackson went into the Hall of Fame that year. Murphy. Gonna swap places with Desmond.
The highest paid player that year? Bobby Bonilla.
And as Dougie has pointed out before, Bobby Bonilla did something really shrewd when he signed his deal with the Mets. He was owed $5.9 million after the Mets released him in 2000. He deferred the money until 2011, and the Mets now, because there was an 8% interest on the money, compounding. The Mets, starting in 2011, pay Bonilla $1.19 million every July 1st until 2035.
Come on.
Jackpot. That's why if you ever win the Powerball, I know they say take the lump sum, but if you can if you're willing to abstain and just take it over your life, you're much better off.
Hey,
direct deposit that, please.
He turned $5.9 million ultimately into almost $30 million.
That's smart. I can't believe, though, because he still played that year in 2000.
He played for Atlanta. How about that? Whoever's running the Mets in 2030 is going to go. Who's this guy, Bonilla?
Bobby.
Who's this
Bobby
guy?
who?
Why are we paying him $1.2 million?
Can we just pay him off?
When was the last time he played for us?
I tell you what, I'll defer the payments, compound 8% interest starting in 2034.
Three and one on Ionetta pinch hitting.
George Hendrick did something like that too with the Cardinals, where he was getting some deferred money, but I don't think it was that much.
And a called strike on Chris. Cubs shut out the Dodgers earlier today. Kyle Schwarber hit another home run, his 14th. Runner going, swung on and missed, and Murphy out. Let me check that one out.
I think I'd give it a peek too.
And Cabrera got hurt.
his elbow. Gonna strike him out. Get under the tag. Closer look on the Subaru Supermo. Yeah, I think he might have got his hand before the foot hits the bag. Tough to tell from that angle.
And Cabrera's walking off the field like he can't go on.
This is
See if we can, let's see if we can stop it as soon as. Yeah, he's tagging him right there, and his foot's not to the bag yet. Where did he hurt his elbow? Bill Wilkie calls him out. We'll move on to the 8th. The Rockies leading 10-8. Airlines, low fares, no hidden fees, that's transparency. And by UC Health, live extraordinary. That swing by Ryan McMahon was extraordinary. A pinch hit 3-run home run when the Rockies were down 8-6. It gave them a 9-8 lead, and they've added a run since then on the home run by Charlie Blackmon. So it's 10-8 Rockies. We've arrived at the top of the 8th inning. Carlos Estevez working to get back to full health, and Adam Ottavino time for the Rockies. It'll be Frazier, Smith, and Flores.
Otto pitched last night, 1 1/3, had 3 strikeouts. First guy who retired on a little comebacker, then it was punch out, punch out, punch out.
And a slider for strike 1 on Frazier. Frazier an RBI single back in the 2nd. He's 1 for 4.
And Otto did that last night on 18 pitches. I was curious to see if he was going to be available tonight.
And he goes heater there at the bottom of the zone at 94. And quickly 2 strikes on the Jersey kid, Todd Frazier.
Huey, what's the number for you being a former manager for a relief pitcher, or did it vary?
Well, it's a little different, you know, down in the minor leagues, what they do down there than the big leagues. But a lot of times it's the 25 pitch mark is kind of where they start to think, well, can he go the next day? But some guys' arms are completely different. Some guys 25 is an easier 25 than somebody that's a max effort 25.
And there's some guys, you know, that have the proverbial rubber arm. This is in the air to deep right. Cargo going back. Will make the catch mid-track, 1 out. Brian Shaw is a guy that has no problem going back-to-back days. Made more appearances, in fact, over the last 5+ years than any other relief pitcher in baseball.
MLB At Bat is your #1 Rockies app. Stay connected all season with pitch tracking, in-game highlights, stats, news, and more.
Dominic Smith, his first 3-hit ball game as a big leaguer. Single, double, triple tonight. And that's right on the black. 0-1. Going over some NL West scores. Mentioned the Dodgers got shut out at Wrigley 40-0. The Giants won at home tonight over the Marlins 6-5. Miami will be in here over the weekend. And that's on the inside part of the black. Here's the 0-2, and 3 pitches. You got to go away. 2 outs.
Well, Adam just racking up the strikeouts. 52 strikeouts for Adam in 32 and a third inning.
That slider's a strike on Wilmer Flores.
Since Adam came back, yeah, that slider is magic. Since his return, 15 batters faced, 7 strikeouts, 1 hit, 1 walk.
Back up the middle, and that will get through. A base hit for Flores, and that'll bring up Mesoraco. Billy, where do you think Mesoraco's from?
Puxatawny?
Yeah, very good. Wanted to see how you were retaining information tonight.
I feel like you said this before.
Deja vu all over again, aren't you?
It's like Groundhog Day.
Oh, nice. Very nice. That's good. 0-1 on Mesoraco. Stat that's kind of frightening. It's the 8th inning, right? Mesoraco has 7 jacks this year. 6 have come in the 8th inning or later. Yeah.
That is a high number, though.
Otto's ahead 0-2. Now you throw a slider behind that, and what shot do you have?
None. You know he was diving, Spilly. You know after 2 sliders away, you're diving. You're thinking away again, and they buzz the tower.
This is poked to DJ. He'll glove it, and Adam Ottavino once again a scoreless inning. We move to the bottom of the 8th inning. The Rockies in front of the Mets 10-8. Back to 20th and Blake in a moment.
In the bottom of the 8th inning, fans, in addition to merchandise and tickets, Rockies dugout stores are now offering exclusive gift with purchase specials like players signed baseballs. Stop in for yours today. The new pitcher for the Mets, Familia, just came off the DL down in the series in Arizona.
And obviously he's their closer, so he's getting some work tonight. LeMahieu, Blackman, and Arenado, top of the Rockies order.
He was on the DL for just 10 days. He had a sore right shoulder.
DJ 2 hits tonight, 4 trips.
Well, I'm not so sure, Drew, that he's just getting work in. I think they're trying to put down this inning with the top of the lineup to give themselves a shot. And if they tie it up or they take a lead, they'll close with whoever they have out there.
Yeah, you're probably right. That's, I'm sure, the thinking of Mickey Callaway. Ball and a strike on DJ. Blackman behind him. Now Familia, that's his bread and butter. When he's right, that heavy sinker.
Ooh. That's nasty. It's like once you do make contact, it's like hitting a bowling ball. I mean, that's kind of what just vibrates the hands.
And a third hit for LeMahieu. What did we say at the start of the evening?
Well, since he went 0 for yesterday, probably gonna get 2 or 3 hits today. I think at 2 for 6 career against Familia. There's that heavy sinker. DJ stays inside out and hits it past. This Cabrera is still at second base.
You know what I'm thinking? He may have hit the funny bone. And one thing I noticed when he was walking off and he was still holding his elbow, he felt good enough that he turned around to check the scoreboard to see the video if in fact they got that out. So he squared around. Rockies trying, thinking to build another run. I'm sure he did that on his own. Here's what he did his last time up. He built a run by himself.
411 feet this baseball traveled.
Oh, 2. Rockies began the day 5 games back in the West. Arizona leading the division. They're idled tonight. Told you the Dodgers lost. The Giants won. Oh, 2, and he missed this one by a smidgen. Nimmo makes the catch, 1 out. Arenado's had a big night also. A home run, a single, a walk, 2 for 3, couple runs scored.
That solo home run, that was in the first inning off a hanging curveball from Seth Lugo. So Lugo get a no decision tonight despite giving up 6 runs. Now just 3 of them were earned because of the error by Todd Frazier, but still he spits the hook, as does Chad Bettis.
Here's the 0-1 to Nolan. And that's at the bottom of the zone. 2 strikes. Rockies will play a day game tomorrow against the Mets to conclude this 4-game series, conclude their season series. The Rockies swept the Mets in New York in early May. And then the Marlins will come in over the weekend. Left-hander Steven Matz against Kyle Freeland. The 2 lefties tomorrow.
2 young, talented left-handers.
Yeah, Matz has thrown the ball well. You know how well Freeland has thrown it all year. Boy, that was really close. I was right in the middle of the Subaru strike zone, and Familia looking in at Lance Barrett saying, where's that?
And I think even Nolan kind of started to take a half step towards the dugout.
Well, he got a second life. DJ Chase back. This is through Reyes into center field. LeMahieu will go to third on the error. Fields that cleanly. It's an easy double play.
This thing was hit pretty hard though. Be a straight error on Jose Reyes, his 7th of the year. A couple errors tonight for the Mets. Glove got back behind him. He didn't even get any leather on that. That's all off the wrist.
And now a real opportunity for Cargo to give Wade Davis a 3-run lead. At the very least, 1st and 3rd, 1 out. Cargo's 1 for 3 and a walk. No run scored tonight. Looking for his 30th RBI.
Ray is still shaking his hand out at short. Oh, he has his wrist taped up. There's that bone on the inside, or the portion below your thumb that ball went off of.
Here's the 1-0. Cargo got a pitch up and out over the plate.
And he really waited for that slider. Familia. Tonight the Rockies 5 for 10 with runners in scoring position. Cargo on the year 333, but 11 for his last 25. That's well over 440.
Whipped foul.
Ow. Got the security guard down there.
Did he get him?
Yeah, he tried to get out of the way.
Trying to play cool.
Yeah, he is. He is. That didn't hurt. Yeah, I'm fine. That hurt
Really bad, guys.
Oh.
Get some ice cream.
LeMahieu at third, Arenado at first. Ninth inning, excuse me, bottom of the 8th inning. Rockies up 2. Rockies have scored in 5 of 7 innings so far tonight, trying to make it 6 out of 8. 2-2. And Cargo goes down. 2 outs. It'll be left to Trevor Story. Let's check our Kubota pitching performance. Tough night for both Seth Lugo and Chad Bettis. Bettis had an opportunity to be on the plus side, couldn't get out of that 5th inning. Ends up giving up 8 runs on 9 hits. He walked 4 tonight. Seth Lugo, who had been pitching very well for New York, gives up 6 runs. 3 were unearned. But he was around for only 3 innings. Ball 1 on Story. Trevor's 0 for 4 tonight. Hasn't had many 0-fers lately. Yesterday, 2 for 5, including a home run. He had 2 RBIs, leading the National League with 56 driven in. And of those 56 RBIs, 32 have come with 2 outs. That's more than anybody else in baseball by 7.
Hitting 13 out of his last 16. To your point, Drew, 379 batting average. I agree. We got to vote Trevor to the All-Star game. You don't. Bud was talking about it today, though. There's a lot of his contemporaries and guys that he talks to that
he'll be there.
He will be there. Trevor's on the top of a lot of guys' list.
Left side of the infield will be in Washington. 2-1. There's the 2-out RBI list. Cervelli of Pittsburgh, Ozzie Albies. Will Manny Machado in August be a Baltimore Oriole?
Nope.
Two and 2.
He had a free agent at the end of the year, but somebody's going to go out and rent him. Baltimore needs it to replenish their farm system.
Two outs, first and third. Story against Familia. His 22nd pitch.
Coming up on that number we were talking about earlier, 25 being the mark that managers will look at. So just thinking about Familia, if there's a chance tomorrow, he might not be available, especially just coming off the DL with the sore shoulder.
Three-two, grounded off. Only playable for fans.
And even the fans didn't make a play.
We better have a glove, though.
I don't know if I've ever seen that. Did you see what happened there? It bounced from the field level seats to the second level and then back down to the field level.
In about the same area, too, that it hit the first time. They just missed it off the railing, back down.
It's much easier to catch the second time around.
But yeah, you didn't want to catch the first one without a glove.
And Familia strikes out Story. We'll go to the 9th inning. The Rockies 10, the Mets 8. Wade Davis will be looking for 3 more outs.
The Rockies can hold on, and we'll be talking to win on the Toyota postgame show. Jenny Kavner with Corey Sullivan. You love to see all of these runs and the Rockies build that offense, but now, Corey, now you need to see them slam the door.
I do want to see them slam the door, but we also talked in the pregame. Chris Rustin talked a little bit about being able to pick each other up and contagiousness. 3 1/3 innings by the bullpen so far, 0 runs. That's what you like to see.
Speaking of being contagious, you know, we're celebrating 1993 tonight, so I just thought we might want to go back and see if hair growth is contagious for one of our colleagues, right?
Oh, what a treat.
Drew Goodman.
That makes my
I'm
day.
not sure if it's like the hair and the look and the glamour shot thing going on that I like the best, or the mock turtleneck. That was such a good look in the 90s. Drew, you sure rocked it, my friend. And in fact, I hate to put this out there, but I was listening to you at that point in time in the 5th grade. 10 years old, listening to call some basketball games. It's good stuff, Drew.
Yeah,
Never thought I could work with you. This is a dream come true tonight. Dream come true.
That's dripping with sarcasm.
I was going to say nightmare. I was going to say nightmare, but you went with dream. We're good.
Dream. Dream world.
I'm going to break out that mock turtle just for you tomorrow.
Thank you. Thank you.
Day game.
Hey, day game,
a little
yeah.
casual. You don't want to go, full on tie.
It's 88 degrees and sweating.
Exactly. All right, we'll chat with you guys in a matter of moments as Wade Davis is on to handle the 9th inning. Jose Reyes at the plate. He takes ball 1. Rare start for Reyes. He's 1 for 2 and a couple of walks. 1 was intentional. And Wade has battled command his last couple of starts, and he begins with a 2-0 count.
Yeah, the 7 games in June for Wade. Just 5 2/3 innings. He's given up 7 walks, 8 hits, 9 earned runs.
That is right down the middle. 2-1. On the corner, 2-2. Ahmed Rosario, who normally starts it short, given the first part of the night off, he's in the on-deck circle. He's the last position player left for the Mets. 2-2 to Reyes, and a ground ball to second. DJ's got it. Reyes retired. 1 out in the 9th.
All-important leadoff hitter retired.
And that was especially big, given the fact that the command issues lately for Wade, and he falls behind 2-0.
Yeah, to then make your pitch to induce the ground ball.
And Rosario, one of the most aggressive hitters in the Mets lineup. He walks about 3% of the time. He's up there firing typically. Takes a strike.
He might have got an order from the dugout.
There's a good chance.
Yeah, 10-8 game. You take it till you get a strike.
Back up the middle, a base hit. Well, that'll bring up the tying run and Brandon Nimmo. 1 for 4 and a walk tonight.
Brandon faced Wade in the 9th inning last night.
The first out that Wade recorded.
Yeah, but that was a ground out. He did drive in a run with the ground out. 4-3.
And it's strike one. Hits this ball to left center field, and it's caught out there by Parry. Got a great break. Off the bat, you thought that may be a tweener. Gerardo, who always takes great routes to the baseball, tracks that down for the second out in the ninth.
When he had to, where it was hit, started to come in for just a second and then realized he needed to go back, but he was calling off Charlie, said he's got it. Yeah, he put his hand up. Wade liked it. And it helped too, real quick, Spilly, because they were in no.
I was just going to say that it's no doubles depth, so not typical depth for Gerardo. He's going to play as far back as he can and be able to cut that ball off. Otherwise, if he's in normal depth, that's a double.
Here is Drupal Cabrera, and moving up is Rosario as the Rockies played behind him, so defensive indifference. Two hits tonight for Cabrera and a walk, so he's been on 3 times. And now Rosario will go to third. Visiting with Glenn Sherlock there, 2-0. And a ground ball to Desmond. He'll take it to the bag himself, and the Rockies win it 10-8. Wade Davis gets the save. Brian Shaw will get the win for Wade Davis. His 21st save of the year, his 100th career save. And the Rockies have put back-to-back wins together. You knew from the outset that it was going to be one of those nights where you just had to outscore them. It just had that complexion. And the Rockies put up 10 runs, and they get to shake hands. 10-8 the final. Gesellman takes the loss for New York. Again, 100 career saves now for Wade Davis. The Rockies improved to 36-38. The Mets fall to 31-40. And we go to center field. Here's Jenny and Sully. Jenny?
All right, Drew, thanks so much. Back-to-back wins for the Rockies. 10-8 seems to be the magic score to get a win against the Mets.
It does, but you know what? We've been harping on the bullpen. They did an incredible job. 4 1/3 innings pitched. They did have some walks. They did have 4 hits, but they did a great job.
Wasn't the cleanest of games, but it was a win, and a win is a win is a win. Back-to-back nights. We'll be right back for the Toyota Postgame Show.